What's up, guys? This week we are in Tampa, Florida at Kaizen Martial Arts. We are going to sit down with Vince McGiunness. Vince McGiunness is a Bang Muay Thai black belt under Duane Ludwig and a Glory Kickboxing veteran. I met Vince when I first joined the Bang Muay Thai system many years ago. Sensei Ludwig suggested before I come out there for the first time that I get some work in with Sensei Vince. That way I have a little bit of a knowledge of the system before making my way out to Denver. After that, I would see Vince around the area. I got good sparring with him from time to time whenever I would visit Tampa. He was a well-known staple among the martial arts community in the area. We became friends after that. He is somebody that I saw a lot of times at seminars and things when Sensei Ludwig would come to Florida. Since then, he has become one of the fastest growing schools in Central Florida. His competitors have been doing very, very well. And we are really looking forward to sitting down, talking to Vince, learning a little bit about his starting a school, his time in Glory Kickboxing, and his thoughts on martial arts in general. So let's go ahead, have a seat, and hear what the man has to say. We'll see you in about 30 seconds. What is up, my mixed martial arts family? Welcome once again to another episode of the Under the Cage podcast. Thank you for joining us. So once again, today we are joined by owner of Kaizen here in Tampa, Florida, Vince McGiunness. Vince, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for letting us visit you in your awesome facility here. I know you haven't been here that long. It looks amazing. I came by once before. Really, really impressive, massive upgrade. I really like what you've done with the place.
Yeah, thank you. We're happy with it.
Awesome. So we are going to kind of get into a little bit about sort of journeying out on your own, starting your school. But I want to start out, just fill us in a little bit about how you got started in mixed martial arts, kind of where your journey began.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about some of where you've been, and, you know, we share a coach in Duane Ludwig, but, you know, tell me a little bit about the start and how it worked to where we are now.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. It started in Tampa. I was graduated high school where I was playing basketball. And then once I graduated, I was still looking for something to stay in shape. I found a local boxing gym, which oddly enough was like the first Gracie Tampa location as well. But at that point in time, I was just more thinking about boxing. And then I was a big UFC fan. I was watching UFCs basically every time they had an event. And then Anderson Silva was getting super popular. And I saw that he was doing Muay Thai and clinching people and throwing knees. I thought that was like the coolest thing. He spoke no English. He just looked so cool. So I was like very just enthralled with that, and found a local Muay Thai gym, which was Griffin Rawl under Dan Rawlings. Started training Muay Thai, started fighting.
Just real quick, when was all this? Like about what year?
This must have been like 2007. Probably starting around 2007, because I won a Muay Thai like state championship belt in 2009. So probably started training around 2007.
Okay.
Probably took my first fight around 2008. And then I moved to New York for a little bit, moved back, started training with Jeremy Thurlow. And through him, I made my pro debut. Then I fought MMA for a period of time. I had like 4 professional MMA fights, and then I moved to California. That's where I met Duane Ludwig. I moved to Oakland, and I was shopping around at a bunch of different MMA schools in the area, and Team Alpha Male was there. And this is right around the time, this was like 2014. So TJ Dillashaw was in camp for Renan Barao, one. And so that was like an amazing experience to be able to watch him in camp, see the way that him and Duane were working and how hard they were working. And then, you know, just to watch on TV, one of the biggest upsets, you know, in the sport in history, was like pretty incredible, and probably one of the most impactful things that happened in my career. And then right around the time that he was moving back to Denver, I was also deciding to move back to Tampa. And I still wanted to train with him. I loved training with him. I thought the system was like, you know, really well thought out, well organized, and also really creative. And visited him out in Denver, became an affiliate, and then kind of opened up my own school and bounced around a little bit, taught at a Gracie location for a little bit, and then opened up my own spot in 2019 once I kind of retired. Fought in Glory for a little bit through that whole process, but then retired, started my own school.
Yeah, when I first met you, it was when I first joined the system. You were still teaching over at Gracie, I think it was.
Yeah, Gracie Pack.
But yeah, you had a lot of students there. You were
Yeah.
popular. Like everyone in Tampa knew who you were.
Yeah.
So like I had friends at Tampa Muay Thai, I think, and like I'd heard about you before I ever got over there. But you had a really good style that I liked a lot because I'm also tall,
Yeah.
skinny guy.
Right. Yeah.
But that was back competition days.
Yep.
So you started in Tampa. That was kind of one of the things I wanted to ask you about is how you ended up over here. But
Yeah, I started in Tampa. Yeah, I basically moved here right around high school. So freshman in high school was in Tampa, and I've been ever since.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so.
And you didn't do much amateur before going pro, so or at least
yeah, it was like it was pretty tough during that time for whatever reason. I feel like there was like there was like a big pro scene in Tampa. Actually, there was like a lot of pro shows, a lot of pro MMA shows, but amateur there just wasn't. I don't know if there was not that many or it hadn't been sanctioned yet. So a lot of times the people who were fighting MMA were going to other states, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi to fight, and then they would like turn pro at some point. And kickboxing and Muay Thai amateur was like pretty regular. So I had like around 10 or 11 amateur fights kickboxing. I did like 3 amateur MMA fights before I turned pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for a long time in Florida that it was all split. Like if you put on an amateur show for a longest time, way back when there was no amateur in Florida, the commission wouldn't allow amateur MMA. And then for a while, you couldn't do amateur and pro on the same card. There were a lot of crazy regulations back then. That
I think I just like missed kind of like the insurgence of amateur MMA was like right past kind of my time.
Yeah.
And all the shows were so like kind of like run shot and like you're at a bar. And I was like already in my mid-20s. I've been training for hours. I was like, I was like in a hurry to turn pro. I wished the scene was a little bit different and I could have spent more time as an amateur. But it just seemed so like shoddy to me. And I was like, felt bored with it. And I was like ready to turn pro. So
yeah.
Yeah.
At some point too, it becomes that situation where it's like, after you've got so many amateur fights, you're going to be fighting the same level of talent.
Right.
Pro,
you're getting high enough.
Yeah. Those early, at least the early pro shows, you're going to have the same level of challenge. So why not get paid for it? I
agree.
That. But I've also, and I'm sure you see it too, a lot of guys come in that are just like so wanting to immediately go pro.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I had, obviously I was a good striker, but I hadn't really developed my ground game fully. I hadn't really figured out my game, my style. I hadn't fought a lot of different opponents, but there just, at the time, just wasn't really an avenue in which to do that. So yeah, ended up going pro.
Yeah. No, I kind of had the same thing. I only got like 3 amateur fights in.
Yeah.
And, I kind of felt like it cost me in the end. Like I wish I'd spent that time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, now as I'm bringing up athletes, I'd like to get them to get like 10 to 15 amateur fights. And I feel like that's like kind of on the longer end of like the way that I usually hear coaches talk about amateur fights. But I just feel like, let's just get all the errors and all the mistakes and all the learning done so that when you turn pro, it's like, now we're ready to make a run versus like, I have some guys that are pro that are still learning. They're still learning sports psychology. They're still learning the mindset that they want to be in before they get in the cage. Forget about the skills. Like I'm just talking about the psychology of competition hasn't even been figured out yet. And that's really what I want to get fleshed out in this amateur time.
Yeah, I found that's kind of one of those things that's hard to teach too is, a lot of guys can do well when they're facing dudes that they're better than or, when they're winning. But the ones that, and I don't really know how you teach it, is the guys that can be losing a fight, bite down and still come back.
Yeah, that's tough. That's definitely like, I think you can learn it in the gym. I think you can learn it in sparring. There is times in sparring where like I will make, Saturdays they do 3 rounds in a row with the same person. So it's like, you might be getting your ass kicked those first, you got to figure it out, like, or you got to stay in there and just get better at losing. People just get better at losing. Then you don't take it as hard and then you can kind of find your game. And then as far as like sports psychology goes, it's just like, you just want them to be able to reach their potential out there, whatever that is. Everybody's different. You got some fighters that are studs, some fighters that are more average, but if they can reach their potential, I think generally you feel good about it. They feel good about it. It's like the times when like, and I was victim to it too, where you just can't quite get your stride going. You can't quite figure out like that thing that you need to be yourself out there. That's tough.
Yeah, and it's two different things, being great in a gym and being great in the cage too.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of students over the years that were just monsters on the mats, but when it came time to get in that cage for whatever reason, it was the lights, I don't know if it was the competition or what, but they'd kind of, I mean, sometimes they'd win, sometimes they'd lose, but they'd never perform at the same level you'd see in the gym. So, you know, you talk to people that want to do this stuff, and I tell them, especially those that don't understand, it's like, to be a world champion, to even make it to the highest levels, like, so many things have to come together. You have to be a guy that, one, you got to be better than everyone, just bottom line, but that's only one piece of it. You got to have the psychology like you're talking about, which is rare, people that have that dog. And you have to be willing to get hurt, you know, and hurt other people. Like, those four things all coming together. Individually, they're rare, and to get all of them in one. So, you know, like, what are the things that you look for when you're coaching people to look for those things? What are your early signs that go, okay, this guy needs more attention?
Yeah. You know, I think that early on, I just like wanted, you know, when I coach, you know, a lot of the coaching reps that I'm doing right now are for me to get better as a coach, not for the athletes. Because it's like you're talking about, like, there's so many things that have to go right in these athletes to make it to the next level. So like, I just kind of allow that to unravel as it's going to unravel kind of more naturally. You have some athletes that are just going to rise to the top of that. And really the thing for me is just making sure that when these athletes rise to the top, that I'm on my game and I'm ready to like take them, you know, to the next level. And so I try to right now give, you know, all the athletes equal attention until we have some, obviously I have Alon Cruz, who's in Bellator, you know, who's the highest level athlete that I have right now and that I've worked with so far. So he's going to get a bit more attention. He's going to get a bit more film study. You know, we're going through, you know, more hours throughout the camp with him. So that's a little bit different. But yeah, you have one or two people that are kind of like rising. We're such a young team too, that it's like, you know, a lot of them are just figuring out the amateur scene right now until they turn pro. I only have like 3 or 4 professional fighters right now. So
yeah, but you've got some really high level amateurs too as well, though. I've seen you guys around, and you guys do pretty well in competition when I see you out.
Yeah, I was just looking at our record. Yeah, we do pretty well. You know, I think the individual attention helps a lot. I think that we all really support each other. And my MMA practices and my coaching style is not easy also. So I think that kind of pigeonholes the particular athletes that I'm getting. Like, I'm very organized and disciplined and detail orientated. And so, you know, sometimes martial arts will attract flighty, creative, disorganized people. And that doesn't really work in my system or in my practices. So I think already I'm like kind of catering towards an individual who's going to make it to the next level just by the way that I'm like organizing my classes and structuring practices. So that I think helps. And yeah, just details and you know, just being passionate about, I think my passion as a coach kind of gets in them and they feel more passionate about things.
Yeah. So with, like you say, you're a pretty young team, but you've already started getting into some of the bigger shows. All right. You've done some BK stuff, I think.
Yeah. Recently we had Mike Young fight in Valor, bare knuckle, which was like their upstart. I think that was their second show. Did some bare knuckle fighting. Yeah, they did pretty well.
And the Bellator shows as well.
Bellator shows, yeah.
So you fought in Glory. Was that helpful in just navigating the waters of those bigger shows?
Yeah.
Familiar ground kind of?
Yeah, that was super helpful. That was another, you know, one of the things that happened in my career that I felt really helped me as a coach, you know, just because, you know, I know what it's like to be on a big stage. I know what it's like to have a lot of attention. I know what it's like dealing with production. I know what it's like dealing with showrunners at that high level. So I feel like once I take an athlete to the UFC, to a Bellator, I've experienced that. I kind of at least know what they're going through. It's been very helpful that I have Alon, you know, going through Bellator. So I'm getting secondhand what he's experiencing and I'm there as a coach as well. And yeah, I think that if you're a newer coach and it's your first time, you have some of those jitters, you have some of those nervous energy, and that nervous energy is going to trickle down into your athlete. But if you've already been there and you're calm and this is, you kind of are able to act professional and that you're more used to that size stage, that size production, I think it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's been a big advantage for me. Yeah.
Side note and funny story, I vicariously, Alon got me knocked the hell out because I was out in Colorado. I got to do some rounds with Bobby King as opponent for that. Bobby was not playing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I got laid out on the floor for that one.
Damn.
First time in years.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to Bobby. Good shots, man.
Yeah.
But
good.
So when you decided to break away, start your own school, that sort of thing, how did that come about? Was that just something you'd been planning for a while? Like, what kind of made you go, okay, I'm ready to move to the coaching, away from the competition as much, and kind of focus on that area?
Yeah, I had always been kind of 50-50 split between being an athlete and fighter and coaching for a few years. I was like already training and coaching other amateurs, or not other amateurs, but amateurs as I was a pro fighter. So I knew that I liked it. I knew that I was good at it. I knew that I enjoyed it. And I kind of already knew that like martial arts was probably going to be my life. I was probably going to start my school at some point. And then when I got to Glory, I was obviously excited, training super hard. I felt like I could compete at the Glory level, but I didn't feel like I could really win and be successful at that level. I just didn't have it in me as an athlete. And, you know, once I realized that, it was pretty easy for me to kind of just set it aside and move on to coaching. And then, you know, me and the gym that I was at, Gracie Pack, weren't really seeing eye to eye. I kind of outgrew the space. I felt like I could do my own thing and do it a little bit better. And I had like a vision of On It basically as like my kind of dream board and what I wanted to create. And so I was just like, you know, all right, I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to try to bring On It to Tampa or something as close to it as I can do.
On It is,
yeah, it's a good point. I should bring that up. On It's a gym in Austin, and you know, they've kind of moved away from the martial arts side of things. Now they're focused more on like fitness and supplements. But there was a time, probably like 2000 and maybe 17 through 2000, maybe up until like COVID, where they were doing like world-class strength conditioning and also had Bang Muay Thai and 10th Planet in the same space. And I had just never seen like somebody merge the two worlds in such like a cohesive way, where they had like the best strength and conditioning, the best movement coaches, supplements, and some of the best martial arts coaches. And I just thought that was really incredible, bringing everything together kind of under one roof. So that was just like very inspiring for me. I was trying to do that basically.
And you already knew Duane when you were there?
I already knew Duane when I was there. I actually went to On It to cover some classes for the coach at the time. So I spent some time there, was able to take classes and just feel the environment. And yeah, it was amazing.
You were Duane's third or fourth black belt?
I think fourth.
Fourth black belt.
Black belt.
Yeah. So yeah, you're one of the first top 5 guys on that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think you had just got it when I first came over and trained with you at Gracie, or you were about to get it or something like that. But
yeah, maybe. I don't remember when exactly I got it. But yeah, probably right around that time.
Yeah.
We were at the new location at Pack, I think.
So were there, when you started out and you started your own school, what challenges did you come across that you just weren't expecting? Like things that you didn't know were going to be there? You know, I mean, God, if I had a nickel for everyone that ever said, I want to start a school, you know, there's a lot of nickels and very few of them pull it off. So you did. And not only that, you've grown and improved. You know, I've known people that started them and they stayed small. You've been improving, growing, building a bigger fight team. What parts of that were you not expecting? What kind of threw you for a loop? What was easier than you thought?
Yeah, well, we started right in 2019. So that was like right at COVID. Yeah. And so that was like one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. You know, we didn't really know what was going on. I had just started a gym, started a business. I couldn't really afford to just like shut down and pay rent. So I basically just had, you know, we were so new that we didn't have a sign up. So nobody really knew we were there. So I basically told my students, hey, I'm here. If you're comfortable and you want to train, I'll hold pads for you. I'll do whatever. Basically, like, please don't stop your membership.
Yeah.
I'll try to make this work as best we can. And luckily enough, I had some students who were down to keep training, and we did some small group classes and things like that. And that really, you know, that's probably the one thing that I did that set us apart from all the other gyms in the area that kind of all shut down. And so that gave me a big boost in memberships during that time. And then afterwards, when, you know, it turned out it wasn't as big of a deal as we thought it was, or you didn't really need to do the things they were, you know, like insisting that you do, especially as far as like fitness goes. So that was really helpful. And it's like year 4 now, and I'm still running into problems every month. In this building in particular, we're segmented with a bunch of different sections. There's a grocery store downstairs. There's another business on the other side, and coding wise, it's all kind of coded as one thing. And so basically, the landlord is like guesstimating who's attributing what amount of electricity. So 1 month, our electric bill was like up basically like 400%. So, it's like all the typical business things of trying to, make sure that the books are balanced and coaches are happy and students are happy. And, was this Instagram post too risky for the students? And, but I mean, for the most part, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I'm lucky that I enjoy kind of all the aspects. I don't just enjoy training fighters, although that's probably like my passion project and the thing that I enjoy most, but I like teaching the fitness kickboxing classes, and I like kettlebell flows, and I like teaching the regular classes and leveling up, just casual students as well, and doing private lessons with students and fighters as well. So it's been fun. I'm enjoying the ride so far.
Okay. Do you do your own social media stuff? Because your stuff gets a lot of hits. I still see it online and stuff, and you do better than us, and we've got 10 years established. Now you're in a bigger city, but like,
right.
Is that something you handle personally? Do you have someone else that helps you with it? How's that work?
Yeah, basically early on, I just realized how important Instagram was and marketing was going to be.
Oh, huge.
So basically, as soon as I could afford it, I hired a videographer to film a lot of our stuff. And then I was running the Instagram predominantly, still do run the Instagram predominantly. But at this point, we have over 10,000 followers. We have a bunch of coaches who will collab on different things, and we have people who are contributing here and there. So the load is definitely spread out a lot more, and that's been super helpful. We've had some viral videos that did really well that gave us a boost too.
Yeah. I think Combat Night shared a couple of your things that bumped them up a lot too. I saw some of that. The business side of things, the personalities you come into contact with starting these schools, actually, my last interview, I was discussing it with Felipe Nito in Tallahassee, that when you start, you don't know how to recognize some of the more dangerous personalities that can be harmful to the community as a whole, or can just start cliques and things like that. And, over time, you develop that eye for them early on, and then you have to kind of address that. I'm not asking you to call anyone or anything, but have you had much of that going? Or
yeah, I mean, we definitely have some people who are like, I would say definitely on the spectrum of like not understanding social boundaries, and can certainly make things awkward at times. And obviously, there's a group of people, you're always going to have some sort of drama going on. But I think for the most part, we've been pretty close knit, and we haven't had anything that's like been splintering. I remember when I first started, my idea was combining yoga and martial arts all in one. So that first whole year, maybe 2 years, we had a yoga program running right alongside the martial arts program. And that just got sticky towards the end just because the business wasn't really working out, wasn't making like sense as far as like the bottom dollar was concerned. But yeah, I think we've gotten pretty lucky. I like to think that I'm like laid back and easy to talk to and easy to get along with. So, I'm kind of attracting that same type of person. And also like with our social media presence, it's almost like we post so much fighting stuff that I feel like people who are more like who are here for social things and will start that type of stuff kind of get intimidated by what we have going on here. We usually like attract more serious people, I would say.
Yeah.
So maybe we've dodged that bullet, or maybe it's right around the corner and I'm just being naive. Who knows?
Yeah. There's always crazies out there.
Yeah.
Like me personally, the big one I look at as a red flag is when someone tells me how many street fights they've had and things like that. We weed those people out. Really haven't had too many of those guys. Yeah. The egos on guys like that don't really survive places like this even for a long time. Like you can't think you're the toughest guy in a room coming into a place like this if you don't have a lot of training to back it up, but they come and go. But I do agree with you what you say that, being as you're a pretty laid back guy, I've done several years, you're laid back. It's always top down with it, as long as you as the head guy is chill, other people are going to see that they're going to be chill, or they get amped. Any specific fighters you got coming up you want to give a little call out to? Anything?
Who we got? Who we got? Next week we are going into New York. I got Stevie Kirindongo and I have Chris Ward. They're both fighting for kickboxing titles. It'll be their first title fight. This is for a Flex Fight Series. So that's pretty exciting for them. I'm excited to experience that with them. That's going to be a fun trip. And then December 16th, we got Theron Thorne making his pro debut. Yeah, so those are probably the big ones. Got some other fights coming up, but those three are the kind of stand out just because of the belts, and Theron's making his pro debut. Those are kind of the biggest.
And what do you have planned for the future in the gym here? Like, do you have any? Yeah, I know you have some extra space you were mentioning, but
yeah, we are expanding. We're gonna be doubling this gym, hopefully for February. But we're kind of talking to the landowners right now, the landlords right now, on what side we're going to be expanding. So we're either going to be expanding kind of horizontally across the second floor, or we're going to be going top and bottom from the first and second floor. And the details of that we're still trying to iron out. So yeah, hopefully in a few months we'll be expanding and adding a cage and hopefully doubling kind of the strength and conditioning and adding some AstroTurf. So we should have some full-time strength and conditioning coaches in here. And yeah.
Thinking of doing more of like a split CrossFit style thing, or
yeah, I just want to make sure. No, it's all good. No, I just want to make sure that, like I was describing On It, how On It had the highest level of strength and conditioning and the highest level of martial arts. I kind of want to be having that as well. We already are working with a great strength and conditioning coach in Freddie Sadler. So hopefully once we expand, he'll kind of be here more full time, training regular people, doing workouts too, not just the fighters. And that I think will help us stand out a little bit. Martial arts in Tampa is so oversaturated. I don't know if you know, but there's so many gyms. And so I think the more that you can stand out, I think we're doing a great job because we're kind of the only MMA school that has a striking base. All the other MMA schools are like a jiu-jitsu base. Mm-hmm. So that has helped, I think, quite a bit. But if we can add more strength conditioning and a cage, obviously is huge. So we're just kind of expanding and trying to be as state-of-the-art as we can.
Yeah. I think that kickboxing is a big draw to people too, being that kickboxing focus the way you are. We're the same in Tallahassee. There's other schools that are jiu-jitsu. We're the only main kickboxing one. You're definitely the only Bang Muay Thai. I know there's other Muay Thai in town, but like Bang Muay Thai being its own thing, that gives you that specific draw. Because it's impressive that you've been able to stand out in that market. Like you come up quick when people talk about MMA in Tampa, and as you said, there's other schools that have been around for years and established, and you're building really quickly. So congratulations on that for sure. So one thing I like to do in these interviews, I sent it in there, but everyone that's been in this sport as long as us, at some point or another, had that off the wall situation, that thing that was just like, oh, Jesus God, we got the craziest dojo raid you've ever heard of in your life in Tallahassee once. That was
really?
Yeah. I'll probably do a thing about that some other time, but I'm not going to overshadow your interview with it because it takes like 10 minutes to tell it. But
that's amazing.
If you had that one story for the interview, which one would it be? The one that's kind of bonkers or just weird or whatever.
I don't want to misname who it was because I'm like actually drawing a blank on who the guy was, but we'll just say a very world-renowned European kickboxer. Duane had him come in for a seminar, and this guy is like in his 50s, probably in his like late 50s, but world-renowned. Like 100 fights, fought in like K1, fought in all the maxes, things like that. And he brings me up to demo, and the demo is that he wants me to like try to punch him. Like, the guy's like in his late 50s, there's like a group of people. So I'm like giving him the, like what you would give somebody in that situation where it's like, okay, this is me trying to punch you, but I'm giving you time to read it. And I'm like trying to read the room and not, be an asshole about it. And he just kept telling me to go harder, go harder, go harder. And like, he basically wanted me to spar him. Right. And then I was just like not willing to do that. And he ended up like dismissing me and having like TJ go up and do the demo. But that was like definitely the weirdest probably thing in martial arts that I can think of. Was like having this like weird interaction with this kickboxing legend who wanted me to like spar him at 100% basically.
Yeah. Did TJ?
Yeah, no, I think, you know what? I don't know if, I think he demoed with TJ. It was kind of the same. And then Duane went up there and Duane was like, what's up? And then he was like, we were going at it for a little bit. In some like, you know, quick exchanges. But yeah. That was probably
cool.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that was much weirder than that.
Yeah. They always come to you 10 minutes after the cameras go off and all that good stuff. Yeah. Well, that is pretty much what questions I had for you. Anything else you wanted to throw onto it, or?
No, I mean, I think that was it. That was a lot of fun.
Cool. I really appreciate you sitting down for this, man. Great interview. If people want to follow you on social, what Insta, websites, things like that, you want to tell it?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Vince McGiunness on Instagram, Kaizen Tampa on Instagram as well. That's where we're predominantly at the most. We also have a YouTube channel, Kaizen Kickboxing and MMA, if you want to check that out. Tons of great videos, tutorials, and fight breakdowns are on there.
All right. Well, Vince, thank you so much for sitting with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will be back next week with another good interview. Hope you've been liking and enjoying the videos we've been putting up. If you have, you know, hit those follows, hit those likes, subscribes, etc., all that other good stuff. And we will see everyone next week. Boss.